Welcome to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. This is your boy DJ KO. I appreciate you guys for tuning back into the show. I appreciate you guys who subscribe to the show. I appreciate you guys who reached out to us and want us to ask certain questions to certain guests. This week has been an awesome week for us. Well, for me. I don't know about you, KJ. But for me, it's been an awesome week because we had Southern Homecoming last week. And I'm still recovering from it. So I guess those of you who never been to a HBCU homecoming and experienced what we experienced, it was an awesome time. What about you? Did you have a good time?
I'm tired.
Tired?
I'm through.
Tired balls?
T-H-E-W, through.
What you do like that?
And then say through.
Through.
I'm through.
None.
Just
See, when you go hard like that,
put
what
a
happens?
fork in me. No, I'm just cold.
But I'd like to thank you guys first and foremost for coming on to the show. I want to make light of today, this month, we still have breast cancer awareness, so shout out to everybody that's advocates for breast cancer awareness. Also, it is still mental health month, mental health awareness month.
I got really nervous just then. But I thought you was going to say shout out to everybody with breast cancer. Did you see I was like holding my breath. I was like, where's this food finna go with this?
Nah.
I said, whew.
Everybody that
I got
experienced
nervous.
that, man.
Okay.
You know,
An advocate,
we advocate
support,
for that,
know
yeah.
somebody. I got you.
You know
I
what I
just
mean?
didn't know. I know what I'm doing.
Oh, it's so
I was about to say
noble.
shout out to everybody. I mean, it is a shout out to them, but you know.
So today we have a special show for you guys today. We have a fellow Southern Jaguar on the show. She's a resident here in Houston. She's a doctor in her field. We're going to be discussing later on today. Everybody, welcome to the show. Dr. Christina Porter.
Hey.
Put some respect on that woman's name. I'm playing with her top, as they say.
Thank you, titles.
Yes, they
Doctor.
matter.
I gotta call you
They
doctor,
matter.
you know what I'm saying? You go to school to become a doctor, you look, you gotta,
I earned it.
that's right.
Yeah.
So I gotta give you a hand clap for that, first of all. Shout out to all the doctors out in the building that went to school, did that 4 year, what is it, 4 years?
I did 3.
3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see.
Beyond what she had
Yes.
already done.
So
So you have a
yeah.
master's too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's a lot of
that's-
school.
And
She's
I
been
was
going
pregnant.
to school a long time.
I was pregnant and I had a baby in the middle of my
Come on, straight up.
Hey, there it is. Shout out to all the pregnant women that's in school right now.
Making it happen.
Right.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, so let me see. You say you have your BA, which is 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
master's, which is 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and your doctor, which is 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody do the math for me. I can't
That's
count.
8.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Ooh, Lord, I can't even see that. I can do.
A lot.
That's a lot.
That's
Yes.
a lot. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kudos to
Thank you.
So Christina, you went to school for this. Let's start off. I don't want to start with the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Undergrad.
Marketing, business.
All right, marketing business
Mm-hmm.
from Southern.
Mm-hmm.
Masters
Peer review, counseling.
in counseling. What type of counseling?
So I do school counseling, but I also finish my extra hours so that I can be a licensed professional counselor. So right now
LPC.
I'm in the intern stage, the associate
And I'm a
stage.
supervisor.
Oh, yes,
Come on,
ma'am.
LPC.
Come on, yeah.
Shout out to all the people that's in counseling right now.
You know what?
So hold up.
I
So
can't
LPC stands for licensed.
Professional
We do
counselor.
every week.
Yeah.
But is it no? All right. So educate me. Y'all gotta educate me. So LPC is for counseling for what type of person?
Psychotherapy. It's for mental health related disorders, behavior disorders.
Any age?
Yes.
Any age group?
Yes.
Okay. And now, fast forward to your doctorate. You got your doctorate in.
Education in learning and organizational change.
So now, what is that? What does that entail?
It's a lot about community involvement, recognizing problems within the community, and kind of looking for ways to solve them. Lots of collaboration.
Okay.
Things of that nature. I got involved in it because of the work that I do outside of my regular job. I work with a nonprofit organization here in Houston that's a mentoring program for Black and Latino Boys.
Okay.
And so I got, wanted to do the doctorate because I felt like, number one, I could kind of increase my knowledge and be able to kind of help propel, the organization forward and to do better work, for the boys that we work with. And then I felt like going to Baylor,
Okay.
which is where I went. You know, the notoriety that just comes with, you know, with the Baylor name would kind of help do that and put me in spaces to be able to kind of share, you know, what we're doing in the community and how we can continue to help others.
So in saying that, you said you specialize in blacks and Latinos, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Boys.
Boys. So what is it, or is it an issue that in today's, I guess, educational system, blacks and Latinos have a difficulty with? Is it something?
Absolutely.
So you think it's targeted for?
I don't think it's targeted per se, but you know, obviously there's a gap.
Okay.
When you look at achievement and how you know, how kids do based off of race, you know, who excels academically, who has, you know, learning gaps and things like that, and there's an obvious gap between children of color versus children who are not of color.
Correct.
And so, which is a big thing just in the educational world to begin with, because, you know, everybody's trying to close the gap. That's all you hear. Close the gap, close
Right.
the gap, close the gap. But people never really kind of get into why is there a gap in the first place,
Right.
Which is kind of what I went in to study. And which kind of says, you know, which was kind of like part of the argument as to why things like mentoring programs are needed in the first place. Because if there wasn't this gap and there wasn't this lack of positive educational experiences for children of color, then we wouldn't have a need for organizations and fraternities and sororities and things to want to come in and actually provide mentoring to these young people. So that's kind of where it starts, because obviously, you know, historically, you go back to the historical systems of
Right.
education and how, you know, slaves were not,
couldn't
you
able
know,
to read,
were
right.
not
You couldn't
able to
read.
learn
Because
to
then you
read
know right from
and
wrong.
things of that nature. And, you know, then it goes up into, well, then we're, you know, allowed to go to school.
Right.
And at that point, well, schools are segregated.
Right.
You have Brown, you know, then Brown versus the Board of Education comes
Right.
into play. And then you have, you know, where integration occurs, but then things like redlining start happening.
Correct.
And then, you know, white families get to move out
Yep.
of certain neighborhoods. Black families are suffering because those schools don't get adequate funding
Right.
for that kind of stuff. And then the cycle just kind of continues and continues and continues. And then now you have this gap that has yet to
Be filled. It's just getting bigger.
exactly. And so then now the big thing is you talk about, you know, kids of color who end up being disciplined more than
By the system or by outside sources like policing, judge?
Both.
Okay. All right.
both. Because it in the school it starts, and then that starts kind of a domino effect that could eventually lead to where you have the school to prison pipeline.
Correct.
You know, so that's kind of where that comes from. So then it's like, well, you know, black and Hispanic kids, Latino kids are more likely to be, you know, suspended from school, sent to, alternative
schools.
placements, and things like that. But then nobody ever kind of goes into, well, why is that?
Okay.
You know, is it, then you look at, okay, well, you know, a lot of people bring race and things into it, and they say that, you know, the kids are, you know, being targeted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, are they necessarily being targeted, but, you know, you have some teachers who, when white kids have certain behaviors, it's more tolerable
Right.
than when a black kid has a certain
Correct.
behavior. So in that instance, and then there's an instance of a power struggle that happens, which is what I've seen a lot of times, in that it becomes, you know, little minor offenses because certain teachers may not have the ability to kind of relate to kids of color,
Okay.
or allow the kids to trust them, that there are certain instances that could be handled within the classroom,
Right.
but they
It goes
don't, and they
out, right.
escalate,
Right.
which is how the kid gets sent to the office, which is how things blow up, which is how it leads to suspensions, which is how it leads to alternative placements
Right.
for things that could have been controlled just in a small classroom environment.
So let me ask you this. Go ahead, Kai.
So when you say that, living out in the Katy area, one of my neighbors, she's a guidance counselor. And she and I was just talking because she was finishing the curriculum to be an assistant principal. And so it's like certain things she had to do, take a test, all of that.
Right.
But she did point out, and she did tell me she's of Latina descent, but she was born in America. Like she didn't, she's culturally she is. But she did say a lot of the schools do make it a point to look at the percentage of Hispanics or Latino kids, and they bring in that number of teachers or administrators. They don't do the same thing for black kids, though. But they will bring in. So if your ratio, I don't know, I'm going to just say if it's 55 to 45 and you have 55% Latinos, they bring in more Latino or Latina
teachers, instructors,
administrators, and things like that to help them assimilate. But that doesn't necessarily happen. But I guess given in Texas, because schools like Worthing and things like that, they're still overrun with Latinos. There's a lot more of them in schools than us. Absolutely. So I guess that may be why. But the schools do make it a push to bring in more.
So let me ask you, since both of you guys are in that field, I want to ask this question. Do you guys think that it's a play against the black community? Like, it's like, we want this certain community or these certain people to continue to suffer?
Well, I don't think it's that, but I think it's a lot similar to what you said. You have what can be called, or what we know as white flight, as we start to move in or
they start to move
out from inside the loop.
Yeah.
So you have people who are moving from inner city, they're moving out this way.
All right.
There's a white flight, they move even further out. So you have people in Sealy, Brookshire, it's getting further and further out. You getting Hockley, you getting
They running from y'all.
all the way, right.
They are.
But
They are.
as you say, in our culture, it's enough money to move to the suburbs, but it's really just that. It's enough for that. Not necessarily enough to keep up with the mud tax and all those things that go into the schooling to put what needs to be put into the school. Your things like booster clubs, PTA,
Right.
the other classes or the
School is
other
a
races
community.
they go. It's a
It's
community. So it's the effort of that being put there.
But black people have that forgiving spirit, though,
But
because
that's
of
the
slavery.
That's the culture.
That's
of,
culture.
You know,
Oh,
it's,
right,
it's
we have that love.
culture, it's the family. For black people, it's family is over everything.
Correct.
That's like our even us going to Southern.
Right.
We're
Right.
we're all family, and that's just a part of the culture. The same thing goes with, the Latino and Hispanic community. They take care of everybody. And
Right.
They still take care
Oh,
of,
yeah. The
everybody
whole
live in
family.
the same house.
Yes.
And,
eat at the same time.
everybody contributes to the household and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. And so that is the culture,
Right.
within that. And so, then you have the educators who don't really understand that, in that household, education might not be a top priority because the whole goal is for this child just to get out of high school so they can start
Making
working
some
and
money.
making money.
That's right.
So that we can pay for whatever.
But ultimately, isn't that the goal for everybody to make money?
No.
Yeah.
Survival.
Survival.
So all right. So the difference between, let me ask you guys this. Oh yeah, I'm glad you said that. So survival and just eating or just making more, is that the same thing? Because surviving is
Your survival and everyone else's survival is different.
how?
Because it is.
So if I'm
So for what it takes you to survive in the suburbs,
right,
doesn't take for them to survive in CUNY homes. I promise.
But
you.
it might.
With what it takes for you to survive in the
'Cause
suburbs,
look,
no,
they
for
driving
what it takes for
Lamborghinis.
you
They
to
working
survive
off
in the
of less.
suburbs.
but they got these Bentley trucks
what
though.
it takes for us to survive in the suburbs, if we were to give them a month of salary or what we do in the suburbs and take it to the CUNY homes, if it was managed properly without wilding out and
Right.
turning up, sometimes that's more money than they
You
see
know they
in 6
turning up.
months. But I'm just saying that's more money than they see in 6 months.
I don't know. Them people see a lot of money, bro.
In ways, in
A lot of
certain
money.
things.
They do.
Is it in the bank?
Well, you gotta be in the
No.
bank. So all right, so that's another conversation. Does your money have to be in the bank? These people getting money from all kind of sources,
They do.
right?
The kids
Donations.
they getting checks.
from Social
Somebody else
Security,
paying
the
their
government.
rent.
They
Yeah.
got money.
Yeah.
The thing is,
They
man,
got
y'all gonna get me
PPP.
started, look, because the thing is, look, because Farrakhan said this.
Oh Lord.
Oh my.
Yeah, Farrakhan said this because I wanted to say something, but I couldn't say it. Look, shout out to Farrakhan. Shout out to people, Farrakhan. But think about it. Black Friday, right? Which is right after Thanksgiving.
Right.
Black people spend, right, a year, $2.2 trillion, right?
Buying TVs.
Whatever. So you get
just
money from
started
somewhere.
I just started shopping Black Friday. And it's more of a sport.
But
to
I'm
me.
saying-
it's just to be out there drinking
But you
and
spending,
laughing
though.
at people. Most times I don't.
But I'm saying most time you did spend, right? Did you spend more than you didn't?
No.
Come on now, look, I don't do that to me.
I'm telling you, I didn't. It's
Shout out
a
to everybody
sport.
shop on Black Friday. Shout out to everybody.
It's a sport. Like, it's to see who can get in line to get what
Right.
first. It's to see.
I'm saying this. Education, I think education
It's power.
and money is synonymous.
Knowledge.
I think it's the same
Absolutely.
thing. But the thing is, we have the spending power because we getting the money. No matter if we stand in what is it, CUNY homes, or we stand in the suburbs.
So you say survival, right? So we talking about education and that money, and that's the level of survival. Well, in certain
I don't
areas,
think that's surviving.
well, it is survival.
Surviving is when you have to
No, listen.
Either I'm gonna
listen,
eat or feed my child. That's surviving.
Listen, Linda.
Yes.
So you thinking to eat.
Hey, friend.
So you thinking to eat. You thinking for survival mode, and it's a comfort of knowing education. You going to work, that's gonna come to you.
Correct.
You have different cultures of the survival mode. Is I may have 2 children, they get $673 in disability because of whatever that diagnosis is. So that's roughly $1,200 some odd dollars. Well, it's an uncle, it's a brother, it's a daddy, it's a parent, it's a somebody who is getting a portion of that to go buy something, to flip it, to do something else, to make some
they
money.
gotta hustle.
So it's like their survival skills, their survival mode is different.
You know.
But
And I gotta watch my little brother.
But that's all right. Think about it. Does a child do in a situation because of?
They
they
don't. They do what
survive.
they
do
know.
what
They survive.
They do what they have to do.
So now, do you diagnose them with?
It doesn't always come with a diagnosis.
So
Want
if,
everybody diagnosed?
because I think that what
That's
mental
what
health
he
is
thinks
to a
That's what he
degree.
thinks happens.
To a degree, because I think that me and Kai had this conversation multiple times. I think that most people, especially in that age category, they had some type of trauma at a young age. Now I ain't talking about rape and all that stuff. I'm talking about like stuff like that. You got to take care of 3 kids,
And that is
Right.
diagnosable.
right?
That's
Yeah.
PTSD.
They diagnosed with that, and they be like, okay, well, I'm messed up in the head because I can't do nothing
Most
else.
times they don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They can't even call what
a
it
lot
is.
of times they don't know, and those kids who say that it has been in
Because y'all tell them what it is.
No.
Y'all tell them it's
It has
PTSD.
been ingrained in them of that at home, because when it's time for your RJ, your 504, you have to keep up this certain thing because your mama not gonna handle it if your check stop. So those children, some of those children have been trained to say and do a certain thing.
Correct. I get that.
Because they are the income source for their family.
I get that.
If it's several of them, and I can get all of them a check, and we're talking about
We gonna get that money.
anywhere from 673, 5 something to 564,
How
whatever.
you
I think
know
the
these
most-
checks amounts? You
Because
been
my
stealing some of these people's
patients get
checks?
checks. Boy, stop it.
She know the exact amount down to the cents.
Because there's not enough money to do anything with. That's the thing.
$763.54. Ask you this. I want to ask you guys this. What's the solution for everything that we're talking about?
Education.
and
What-
awareness.
What if a person doesn't have access to education,
They do.
or they don't have a mind state to accept the education that they're getting?
The people who can really make the change, they have access, they have the mindset to accept that they're choosing not to in all aspects.
Okay.
They're choosing not to show up for the in-service. They're choosing not to listen. They're closing a blind eye to what's happening. They're choosing not to learn. They're choosing not to understand. It's just like that person standing in front of that electrical box on the meeting when you lied about your skill set on the application.
Right.
They get up there and lie and shuck and jive. Oh, I just love the kids. But then something happened and they making these racist posts on Facebook and they losing
Right.
their job.
Yeah.
So you choosing to not.
What if you're 10 years old though?
We talking about the people that
Talking
can
about
make
the
the change.
adults, the
These are the
people who can
adults.
change.
I'm not talking about adults. I'm talking about 10
We
years
started
old.
with talking about adults.
I'm talking about now.
They have no
10-year
responsibility.
That's
in
what I'm
this.
saying. They have responsibilities at home, and they worry about those kids. Their little brother, they have to take care
So
of.
it takes for that school, that village that we used to have when we were growing up.
But what if they don't have that? That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm
so
trying to
we
say.
have
mentoring
to
comes
that's
in.
where the mentoring
And that's what I'm
comes in.
asking.
Mentoring.
That's what I'm asking. So
Yeah.
what is the solution? How do we help
Mentoring,
these
education.
people out? That people that want to come in, outsource, and do some things in that field, and say, okay, well, I never did this, but I want to help out. I want to bring one of these kids to my house. I want to take these kids who've been babysitting each other and bring them over. How can I help? what's that? What I'm saying? What's the solution?
You show up. At
You
the
guys
school.
you guys are licensed for this. I'm talking about for somebody like me, not licensed. I don't know none of this stuff.
It's exposure of what it is, and they can, just like you can get on the internet and Google anything else, you can Google that the exact same way you
And what
said
is that?
it. What is Google?
No. What is that? You said Google that. What is that?
What did you just say? I want to know how I can go
How I
help a
can
kid
help.
that's 10 years
Okay.
old having to watch their younger sibling. I promise you, if you Google it just like that, at
There are
least 2
there
mentoring
are
programs
community
gonna pop up.
mentors. There are community mentors that go into the school-based mentoring. There
Okay.
are organizations who partner with the schools. There are, other organizations that all they do is mentoring.
Right.
The program that I, run is nothing but mentoring. And, it's really, and through those programs is really where you can make the difference, because the programs can create them the way that we want them to be, because
Okay.
we know that they're going to help this certain group of people. A lot of times with schools and stuff, you have those boundaries because you have the people who aren't willing to listen. You have the people who are going to fight against the change because we've always done it this way.
Right.
And why do we have to do this? And why do we have to, change the way that we've always done, blah, 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 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But as a organization that's outside, you have the ability to, craft your organization the way that you want it to. So the program that I run, the Chauncey Glover Project, it is a culturally and gender specific program.
Okay.
I think I got a call the other day about somebody wanting to get a young boy in the program, but the boy was Asian.
Okay.
I say, well, our program is not for him.
Mm.
We are culturally specific.
He's Asian though, isn't that
But I'm
minority?
No,
minority
but
and
that's written
and Black
in
and
a certain
Latino
way.
Oh, you got
culture
specifics. I
is
got you.
going to be more specific.
I
I
got
said,
you.
so, the way that I was explaining it, I said, well, part of our program is we talk a lot about, like we go into police interaction.
Okay.
I said, if I'm, having this discussion with this group of young men about, what they think when the police is around or anything like that, I said, this young man is not going to identify the same way that the other boys in the program
Correct.
are going to identify. In the same piece of it, these boys are going to look at him like, you don't go through what we go through.
Why are you here?
When we walk through the corner store, you don't get followed.
Correct.
We get followed.
Right.
So, and I say, so I wouldn't want to put that child through that. And this program is built to where, we are providing a safe space for these boys to be able to share their experiences and learn together so that they can do better and not become statistics and
Right.
become part of the school and prison pipeline and do everything that society says that they won't.
Okay.
So that's where you can tailor it. And, every mentoring program is different. Some programs don't do that. You have some programs who say how they want to help the inner city youth, but it's run by white people.
Correct.
What exactly are you doing for the inner city youth other than throwing money and taking pictures and saying this is what we're helping the community?
Right.
But are you actually saying that you are teaching this young African-American boy how to apply to college, teaching him that he has options outside of high school, teaching him that, this is how you save your money so that you can go to college and you can work, and when you get out, and this is if you were living on this type of budget, this is how you would be able to spread out your money. You don't go and buy the however many $100 automobile
Right.
note or whatever and things like that. You have to live within your means.
So is this a program just in Houston, or is this
It
everywhere?
started in Detroit, and
Okay.
but now we are based in Houston.
Okay.
Because the founder is he was working in Detroit, and now he's
in Houston?
Yeah, so it is in the surrounding areas. So we take boys from all over, and so
That's good. And what's the name of the program?
it's called the Chauncey Glover Project.
Okay.
So it's a mentoring program for Black and Latino boys.
Chauncey.
Okay. How can we find it?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, the CG Project Houston, or HOU. And also our website is thechaunceygloverproject.org. And, we just kind of closed our applications for the upcoming mentoring session.
Okay.
So we're kind of funneling through those and, getting ready to start with a new group of 11th and 12th graders. So
Okay.
You need mentors.
I absolutely need mentors.
Men?
Men,
Women?
only men. I'm really looking for some Latino mentors.
Okay.
You know, because I did my research on the program and the influence of the program to be able to help. You know, what were we able to create? What was the culture that we created within the program that helps, you know, these boys propel out of these circumstances? And
Right.
you know, I studied the Black boys and I studied the Hispanic boys, and so there were the similarities and the differences, the
Yep.
cultural differences with that. And so with, you know, we get lots of Black mentors, but I need mentors that are committed. You
Gotcha.
know, you talked about fathers, you know,
Right,
the
the
lack of
dads don't do
fathers
it,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. And not saying that fathers is the reason why these boys aren't successful, because that's not always the case. There's kids who come from, you know, dual family homes who
Still messed up in the head.
mess up and,
Yeah.
you know, and don't make the right decisions. But the ability for them to be able to have, I want my Latino boys to be able to have Latino mentors,
I
to be
got
able
you.
to understand that piece of the culture. Yes, you know, they understand the color piece of it, and, you know, that we all got these systems
And the
that
language.
that
The
are
language is a big thing.
and the language, and you know, because I think with the two of the boys that I studied, the thing that kept coming up was that they had this struggle between wanting to go off to school and you know, start a career and things like that,
take care of their family.
and taking care of the
Yes.
family, because they still lived at home.
Right.
Or even if they didn't live at home, the family was still saying, well, you need to be working with us
I got it.
You
because
need to go to work.
you need to go to work and we need money. You know, you got to take care of the house.
Right.
And so it was it's a back and forth
I
thing
think that's a
going
beautiful thing,
on.
though. That's beautiful, though. They can take care of their family, because the family, at the end of the day, that's all you got.
Yeah.
Because if you go up to college, go up to school, make money, but whatever, something happens, what you going to do? Call who?
Yeah.
Family, right? All those colleagues that you got that making all this money, got all that status and all that, you call for them, they're not going to be there. Family's
Yeah.
the only people going to be there. We about to wrap this show up. Y'all see that B on right there, huh? I ain't going to freestyle, though. I ain't going to be. So, Christina, tell the people one more time, where could they find the program?
You can find the program on Instagram and Facebook, the CG Project HOU. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter at its_Dr_Chrissy Poo.
Hey, this
Hello.
doctor.
Yes.
Dr. Chrissy Poo.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You gonna put some respect on my name.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Dr. Christina Porter for coming through the Culturally Distinct podcast. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit Doc up. She's gonna. We need some mentors. We need some Latino mentors. We need some Black mentors. Men. All right. You guys subscribe to the channel. We're gonna do it. This is your boy DJ KO. I've been drinking a little bit. Y'all watch out.
Okay, Jack.
It's starting to get slurry a little bit. Homecoming is still inside of me right now. So, but much love to y'all. I love y'all. Peace.